Hey Goblin, you've been really practicing those war drums.
I'll bring the generic goblin noise!
Hey gang! Using the promo code MTGMudsta, all caps, will get you 10% off any order over $10 at Flipside Gaming. It'll also get you 10% off any orders of singles at Multizone. And it'll get you 10% off most products at Original Magic Art, with the exceptions of some paintings. If these fine sites don't have what you're looking for, you can also consider using my affiliate link when ordering from TCG Player. And if you'd like to join the Generic Goblin Gang to support this channel, there's a link to my Patreon in the description below. That's right, we have another magical matchup from Magic Fest Montreal. In today's game, Adam is playing Tatyova, keeping Scapeshift, Lotus Cobra, Ramunap Excavator, Flooded Grove, an Island, Crucible of Worlds, and Coiling Oracle. I am playing Trostani, keeping a V2 Gazi Guildmage, 3 Forests, Windbrisk Heights, Altar of Dementia, and Path to Exile. Fresh off the floor we have Michael playing as the Mimeoplasm deck, keeping a Yavimaya Coast, a Dreamborn Muse, Tranquil Thicket, Artisan of Kozilek, Mystifying Maze, Baral, and Lord of the Void. Michael's friend Dede is playing his Yarok deck, keeping Command Tower, Swiftfoot Boots, Devious Cover-Up, Alchemist Refuge, Island, Springbloom Druid, and Sepulchral Primordial. Michael wins the die roll and starts us off. Michael plays a tapped Tranquil Thicket and passes. Dede plays a Command Tower. I play a tapped Windbrisk Heights. Adam plays an Island. Michael plays his Yavimaya Coast and loses 1 life to help cast Baral. Dede plays an Alchemist Refuge and casts Swiftfoot Boots. I play a Forest and drop a V2 Gazi Guildmage. Adam plays his Flooded Grove and pays 2 for a Lotus Cobra. Michael drops Mystifying Maze before losing another life. He makes a blue and casts a Waterfront Bouncer. Heading to combat, he hits his friend Dede for 1 with Baral. Dede plays an Island and casts a Springbloom Druid. He sacrifices an Island and goes to find 2 more basics from his library, passing to me while he searches. I play a Forest and cast Altar of Dementia. Adam pays 2 for Coiling Oracle and reveals off the top Plane of Polluted Delta. He nets a floating mana with the Lotus Cobra trigger, naming green, and loses 1 life to the Delta to find another land. Adam grabs a Breeding Pool, taking 2 more to have it come in untapped, and gains another floating mana from his Cobra. He then plays an Island for his land for turn, gaining a 3rd floating mana, and Adam uses all of that mana for Crucible of Worlds. He then heads to combat and hits Michael for 2 with the Cobra. Michael's hit a snag at this point with his lands, in so much as he hasn't drawn anymore, and he's forced to cast Tribute of the Wild. This has all of his opponents sacrificing an enchantment or an artifact, which is a nice 3 for 1. Dede plays a tap Jungle Hollow, gaining 1 life as it enters. He then pays 4 mana for Chimera Sabertooth, which is a card that's never used in a fair way, and he passes turn. I'm super excited to play my 3rd Forest, and I pass. Adam moves to plan B on the Crucible plan, playing his Ramunap Excavator in his main phase. He then replays the Delta from his yard, gaining a mana, and then sacrifices it to lose another life to find a basic Island, and gains a 2nd floating mana. Adam then taps a land with his floating for Kadama's Reach. And with the spell in the stack, Michael activates his Bouncer, discarding his Artisan of Kozilek to return the Lotus Cobra to Adam's hand. Adam then goes to find a basic for the field and for hand, and he passes turn. Michael still can't find a land and passes. Dede draws for turn and brings out Yarok in his main phase before passing. I play a tap Mirror Pool as my land for turn, and sadly also pass. Adam pays 2 for the Lotus Cobra again, and plays the Delta, generating a floating mana. He sacrifices it, and with the ability on the stack, Michael bounces the Cobra back to Adam's hand again, discarding Lord of the Void this time. Adam finds his land, and plays an Oracle of Moldiah, revealing Reality Shift off the top of his library. He then plays a Forest from his hand. He then recasts the Lotus Cobra and heads to combat, hitting me for 2 with the Excavator. Michael untaps, draws, and passes. Dede plays a forest and casts Gonti in his main phase. The Aetherborn comes in, and Dede has the first trigger target Adam, and the second target Michael. He takes one card from each of their top 4, and they bottom the rest. Moving to combat, the Tremor Sabertooth heads at Adam, who double blocks to force the activation. Dede obliges and returns the Springbloom Druid to his hand. With nothing else, he passes, and at the end of turn, I use Path to Exile on the Tremor Sabertooth. I play a Panharmonicon in my main phase, struggling to find a second white source, and I pass. Adam casts Tatyova in his main phase and plays a Misty Rainforest off the top of his library, gaining 1 life and drawing a card. He reveals an Expiration off the top, which he doesn't want to shuffle away, and he plays a Delta from his yard, gaining another life and drawing another card. 1 green is then enough to cast the Expiration, and he cracks the Misty, losing 1 life but gaining it back as a basic enters, and draws him a card. He then plays a Wayward Swordtooth, bringing his ability to play lands per turn up to 4, and he replays the Misty Rainforest from his yard, drawing the Green Sun Zenith off the top of his library and gaining 1 life. Heading to combat, the Excavator swings at me once more, and before damage is dealt, Michael activates the Bouncer to try and bounce Tatyova to Adam's hand. Responding to that ability, Adam sacrifices his Misty Rainforest again and grabs an island, netting 0 life, and draws a card, and Tatyova gets bounced while I take 2. Adam then discards down to 7, while Michael reveals that he's discarding Mirko Vosk to the Bouncer. Michael draws and passes. Dede plays a Llanowar Waste and passes as well. I draw for turn, can't do much, and I pass to Adam. Adam untaps, and on his upkeep, Dede pays 3 to use Beast Within on the Excavator. Adam gets a Beast token, and then draws and reveals a Nature's Lore off the top. We then see Tatyova return, but it's countered by a Devious Cover-Up. And Adam responds to it by using his own Beast Within and hits Yarok. Tatyova is then countered, and Dede puts some of his cards back into his library. Adam then plays an island, and having met City's Blessings requirements, swings the Wayward Swordtooth at Dede. Dede blocks the Beast and Gonti, and Adam puts lethal on Gonti. They both then lose a creature, and in his second main phase, Adam casts Regrowth to bring back the Swordtooth to his hand. Adam then passes, and at the end of turn, Michael activates the Bouncer to return the Vitu-Ghazi Guildmage to my hand, and discards a Dreamborn Muse. Michael draws and finds his 4th land, finally. He plays an island and passes. Dede plays a Ground Catacomb and passes. I recast my Vitu-Ghazi Guildmage before passing to Adam. Adam draws and reveals Crop Rotation off the top. He recasts Tatyova, and responding to it and using the reduction from Brawl, Michael tries to counter with a Spell Swindle. Adam has no response, and his commander is countered while Michael gains 5 treasure tokens. Adam then replays his Wayward Swordtooth, and hits Michael for 3 with his Beast token. In his second main phase, Adam then casts Green Sun Zenith, where X is 1, and he finds a Birds of Paradise before shuffling the tutor in and passing turn. Michael draws, and finally has mana to play with. He casts Buried Alive, putting Lazav, Wonder, and Brawn into his yard. He then uses his remaining treasures for Stitch Together, bringing back the Artisan of Kozilek to the field. Michael then passes. At the end of turn, Dede activates his Alchemist's Refuge to let him flash in a Rampaging Baloth. Dede recasts Yarok in his main phase and plays a Tap-Fetid Pools. This triggers his Baloth twice thanks to Yarok and gives him 2 Beast tokens, which Michael helps out by giving him some orange sleeves. Moving to combat, Dede then hits me for 6 with a Baloth and passes to me. I draw, and still missing that second white source, play a Bramble Sovereign before passing to Adam. In a turn unlike his others, Adam untaps his massive board of lands, draws, and passes. Michael continues finding lands, playing a swamp for turn, and swings his Artisan of Kozilek at who I thought was his friend, Dede. Dede resolves the Annihilator trigger, losing 1 beast and a token from the Baloth, and then takes the full hit of 10. In his second main phase, Michael then pays 5 for the Mimeoplasm, who comes in and exiles Lazav and the Lord of the Void. He has his commander become a copy of Lazav and puts 7+1/+1 counters on it. Michael then passes. Dede untaps, draws, and passes. I untap and finally draw a land, too bad it's another forest. I then pass turn. At the end of my turn, Adam taps his creatures and some lands for a Court of Calling. He puts 7 into the X and goes to search for an Avenger, but for some reason he can't seem to find it and has to settle for a Royal Elemental. Adam plays an Evolving Wilds, which triggers the Elemental as it comes in. This lets Adam steal Yarok, which seems decent. With a trigger on the stack, Dede activates the Refuge and flashes in Sepulchral Primordial. Adam isn't really wanting to deal with this and counters it with a Cryptic Command, countering the spell and tapping Michael's creatures, which should actually be all opponents, but as I'm sure people know by now, we don't actually know how to read. Adam then sacrifices the Evolving Wilds to find a forest, and gets 2 triggers this time from the Royal Elemental as he controls Yarok. He steals the Artisan and Rampaging Baloth, and Adam then puts to stack Escape Shift, and things get real. He sacrifices only 6 lands, which gives him 12 Royal Elemental triggers and 12 Rampaging Baloth beasts. The Royal Elemental triggers are sadly a bit excessive, as he's able to steal all the creatures on the board, and then some, with the exception of Lazav. Adam then swings a Swordtooth and one of his earlier made beast tokens at Michael for 8, and he passes turn. Michael draws for turn, and finds that sweet land drop playing a forest. He pays 6 mana for a Mind Grind, where X is 4. This has us all mill until we hit 4 lands, and Michael gets a few decent choices of creatures that Lazav can become. Michael has it become a copy of the Avenger of Zendikar to gain a bit more power, and he swings it at Adam, who decides not to block since it is trample, and he takes the 12 commander damage. Dede draws for turn and looks at his yard briefly. He then plays an Eternal Witness and returns Gonti to his hand and passes. I draw and pass my turn. Adam untaps his now massive board of lands, creatures, and tokens, and replays Tatyova for a fair chunk of mana. With his commander on the stack though, Dede uses the stolen Cryptic Command he took from Michael earlier to counter the spell and tap all of his opponent's creatures. Unfortunately, with nothing else, Adam passes. Michael draws and swings his commander at Adam, connecting and taking him out. This returns all the stolen creatures, and Adam takes back his stolen card from Gonti. Michael then passes. Dede untaps and plays a Ravenous Chupacabra, which is quickly countered by Michael's Psychic Strike. Dede mills his top 2 cards, and has the Mimeoplasm Lazav Avenger of Zendikar transform into a Mimeoplasm Lazav Soul of the Harvest. Dede then replays Gonti, and has the triggers target 1 apiece between Michael and myself. Moving to combat, Yarok then connects with Michael, and Dede gains 3 life, while Michael gains 3 commander damage. I draw for turn, and cycle my Tranquil Thicket. With nothing else to do, I hit Michael as well, dealing 6 damage before passing turn. Michael activates his Bouncer on his turn, returning Yarok to Dede's hand and discarding Simic Growth Chamber. Heading to combat, the Artisan goes at Dede, who sacrifices 2 permanents and then loses 10 to the Flying Eldrazi Spaghetti Monster, and he passes turn. Dede draws and recasts Yarok in his main phase, and he casts my Stolen Seance. He swings Gonti at Michael, who takes the hit, and he passes turn. At the end of turn, I use Nature's Claim to get back my Stolen Seance in a fashion. On my turn, I find my second white source and play a tap Scattered Groves, super duper, and I pass. Michael swings the Artisan at Dede again, and it has him sacrificing 2 permanents and taking 10 from the Flying Eldrazi. He then activates the Bouncer, and discards a Palace Siege and passes. Dede counts up his smaller land base and pays 4 for an Evil Twin. Since Twin doesn't target, he has it come in as a copy of the copied Lazav, who's actually a copy of the Soul of the Harvest. Dede then plays a Farhaven Elf and goes to find a land first and then draw. He shortcuts though, swinging his commander at Michael, who blocks with Baral. Dede then gains 3 life and passes while searching. I draw and cast Zendikar Resurgent before passing turn. Michael plays a command tower and swings his Lazab and Artisan at Dede. Dede doesn't have to sacrifice anything really because he's dead either way, and Michael passes to me. I draw and cast a Sakur Tribe Elder, drawing a card from the Resurgent trigger. This card happens to be a Regal Behemoth, who draws me a card as I cast it from the Resurgent trigger again, and this makes me Monarch, with the added benefit of now letting my lands tap for 3 per. Sadly, the cards I've drawn so far aren't going to get me very far, and with Michael's flying army only getting larger as the game goes on, I decide to concede to him, and we move to another game. Game review time. Well, I guess if you keep a hand like mine, you get the results as you saw in this video. Unfortunately, I was stuck in not being able to get a second white source, plus I didn't really draw anything good. These things do happen, but in comparison, compared to Adam's opening hand, which had a lot of action and a lot of gas, you can really see the difference that a great opening hand makes. He pretty much had his foot on the gas the entire game, and it basically took the concentrated efforts of Dede and Michael to take him out. Once again, it also shows the power of Royal Elemental, a card that I'd love to see more of, and seems like a fantastic way to steal other people's creatures, for very little cost. I think Michael's comeback was fantastic, and just goes to show how powerful a commander with flying and hexproof can be. We really couldn't interact with the Mimeoplasm short of a board wipe, and no one seemed to be able to find one. He also had the perfect time for a spell swindle, which was great, and he was able to use the mana very effectively, and basically set himself up for a win. Dede's Yarok deck was great, but I do think he used a lot of his resources to try and deal with Adam. I'm not saying that that was wrong, but unfortunately by the time that Adam was taken out, it meant that Michael had free reign of the table and was able to take us out easily. Please be sure to tune in every Monday and Thursday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at MTGMudsta. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/mtgmudsta, and lastly, you can check me out when I stream at twitch.tv/mtgmudsta. This video is brought to you in support by my patrons. If you're looking for a way to help out the channel, please be sure to visit the link below. Thank you all for watching this video, and don't forget, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.